Hello and Happy New Year. This meeting is the first one of the year when we will have the HHS meeting and internal service are combined. First thing that we will do is say the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Romano adopts the agenda.
Support by Nard.
Romano adopts and Nard supports. Thank you. Are there any questions? I need approval of the minutes. I'm sorry, can we vote? We shall vote on that. I need a
Motion
motion.
passes 11-0.
Thank you. Need a motion for adoption of the minutes.
So moved by Nard.
Is there support? Nard supports, Sabatini, Nard motions, Sabatini supports. Is there any questions? Are there any direction, any dialogue? We'll vote then, please. Thank you.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. We will now go to public participation for anyone that is in the public for 3 minutes. Does anyone want to speak? Seeing no one, we will end public participation. We will now go to Health and Human Services Department we will have a motion to recommend to full board for the budget amendment for Macomb Community Action. Can I have a motion?
So moved by Nard.
Support Van Sickle.
Nard motions and Van Sickle supports. Thank you. Hi, Ernest. Good
Hi,
to see you.
Commissioners. This one's fairly straightforward. CACFP is what we use through the Michigan Department of Education to support our meal purchasing for Head Start meals. Snacks, meals, paper products. It's historically what we've used, and this is what you see again before you today.
We have no speakers. So are we voting on this? We're voting on this now?
Yeah.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. We'll move it to full board. Motion to move to full board for a budget amendment for action on Family Services Division.
Moved by Kleinfeld.
Matuzik makes the motion. Is there support?
Support.
Kleinfeld supports. Thank you.
This is for our supportive services for veterans and families, where we work with OLSA, the Oakland Livingston Human Service Agency, to administer this program. Provides a lot of homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing support for our seniors and their families in transition. And we're looking to move some money from personnel to direct service and support for those veterans.
There's 2 speakers, Madam Chairwoman.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Brown?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Ernest, what coordination does this program do with our Veterans Services agency?
We work closely with Laura and veterans on this one. They often refer people to us for this. They have a range of complementary services to what we have. This is specifically around homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing. So our goal, of course, is for homelessness prevention. So Laura often first learns if a veteran's in crisis. And before they become homeless or get evicted, they reach out and refer to us so we can make things right before they're evicted. If they end up transitioning, they have a change in family living situation, we help them find a new place. We can do first, last month's rent, social security deposit. We can find new furniture. In rare but unfortunate cases where there's domestic violence incidents, we can cover both the veteran and the non-military spouse. So we can cover both members of the household if there's a separation of the household due to domestic violence. So really, if they've become homeless and they encounter one of our homeless support agencies, they refer to us. But oftentimes, Veteran Services and Laura are the eyes and the ears of veterans, and they try to refer people to us before they're in that crisis.
Is there any other, what about the local posts? We got the big posts here in Mount Clemens, the VVA, and then other posts.
Yeah.
Are they referral sources, or do you work directly there? Do you have anybody embedded in any of those agencies?
We don't have anybody embedded. We really rely on our Veterans Administration and Laura to get the word out. We provide them marketing and materials just to saturate the community and the VFW halls and the American Legion posts, just to spread the word about this. Oftentimes somebody knows somebody who might be on hard times.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Happy New Year, Ernest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Don,
you, Chair.
Don asked my question, so I don't need to speak.
Thank you.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you. We will vote now, please.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. I will look for a motion for full board on this plan for Macomb County Action Program year.
So move, Van Sickle.
Support Hall.
Van Sickle moves and Hall supports. Thank you. Ernest?
So the CDBG grant for CARES was a little different. One of the things they did was they lifted the cap on public service agencies that applied for these dollars. Usually we have a 15% cap. That supports things like McCrest, like our homeless support agencies, and they had allowed us to increase our CDBG support to those agencies. So this amendment is the fifth amendment we've made. We did not receive enough facility and infrastructure improvement requests from the municipalities. And so what we decided to do, instead of begging them to build more sidewalks or apply for more public infrastructure, we're using the allowance that were granted under COVID to give more money to those public benefit organizations. Give more money to McCrest and the Warming Center this winter for our homeless residents, as is allowed under these new COVID guidelines for CDBG. So just a minor reallocation because we did not receive enough requests for funding from the municipalities.
Thank you, Ernest. Commissioner Kleinfeld, please.
Thank you, Chair. I find it very hard to believe that if they had knowledge, municipalities wouldn't be asking for funds for those purposes. They're always salivating at
Sure.
getting funds for those purposes. So that's a...
Yeah, I'm happy to get you more information. We do a great job we have to hold public information sessions. We invite all of the city managers and all of the economic development managers from any non-entitlement municipality to a planning session. We have a PowerPoint deck. We go around to all the municipalities, encourage them to look at proposals they've submitted in the past. In some areas, there is a cost share incumbent upon the municipality. So they may say, well, we don't have the cost share to match that. Or they may think that there is another project that's higher priority for their trades workers. I can get you further detail, but I do know that we really try to beat the bushes and work with all the non-entitlement municipalities to get these proposals in.
Okay, so my other question is, we got the CV and CDBG CV, the ESG CV, and then same thing too, but we didn't get the CDBG CV2. Did we not apply, or were you surprised that we didn't get it? Did you expect to get it?
It's sort of a convoluted process for these reallocation and redistribution of funds. Part of it's determined on how fast or how big of priorities you had. I'm honestly not sure what to think with some of these deliberation processes at the state and federal level for extra reallocation.
What kind of money did we lose out there on? What were you thinking we would probably get, or did you apply? Did you apply?
I can follow up with you on that and let you know where it was. I'm not sure if it was competitive or not. Some of these NOFAs are not competitive, the Notice of Funding Availability. So I'm not sure how they determine that formula. Sometimes a NOFA is issued strictly based on 100% spend, so whoever gets to 100% first is entered into the NOFA. Sometimes it turns competitive. But I will follow up on that and get back to you.
Well, maybe a better way to ask that is, how much did we get for CV2 for the CDBG? For CV or CV2 for the CDBG, it'll give me an idea, not for the two, I'm sorry, for the original one. It might give me an idea as to what we missed out on.
The original CDBG CV, I think, was a couple $1 million, maybe 2.5.
Okay.
So, and I'm happy to get that. I don't have those figures now,
Okay.
but I'm happy to let you know if there was an application and if we applied and
Okay,
what we
thank
think
you.
about it. Will do. Thank you.
Commissioner Hall?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ernest, I'm glad you offered that explanation on the funding and how they're prioritized, and the fact that most of the communities didn't even request the money. When you send out notification that CBDG funds are available, I send that to our city manager.
Sure.
And say, hey, if there's things we're looking at, to both of them, you need to look at that. Because I was looking at the list, and if I recall correctly, a good 90% of the items that are on here require matching funds. And that's where the problem comes in with CBDG monies.
Yes.
And some of I was looking at the one, improvements to underutilized green space to create an outdoor space that encourages social distancing. If I had to put something on a priority list, I don't know that that would quite make it.
Yeah.
For one of the various communities. So I'm glad to hear your explanation, but we do need to make an awareness more so. And it's the matching funds.
That's right. It often is a matching. And as you see, we did a good job. We got $773,000 originally allocated, and we were able to spend almost $750,000. So we got over 95% of the allocated dollars spent. It was just that extra $25,000. We didn't get eligible proposals, or they didn't have the matching. Sometimes it's more than matching. We had a proposal 2 years ago. They wanted to do a sidewalk improvement somewhere, but there was a little valley in the sidewalk. There was a floodplain, technically. We can't use CDBG to invest in a floodplain. So we went back to them and said, well, we can cover 80% of the project, but CDBG and federal dollars can't go into a floodplain. I know it sounds odd, but this little valley here is a floodplain. So oftentimes they're odd, things like that, or they'll say, well, we got a bid, but now it's 6 months later, and they're telling us it's going to cost 20% more. Well, you don't get just 20% more of an allocation just because your bid has been updated. So it's really a moving target. But I think the big story here is we had 773 budgeted. We got to 748. So we did a pretty good job. It was just that remainder, and oftentimes it is a cost share issue.
Now, with approval of this list, do you have a commitment from the local municipality if there's matching funds required
Yes.
that they are in fact going to match?
Yes, this is a contractual agreement.
Okay, thank you.
They propose it, and if they're going to obligate those funds, they have to contract to spend them in that way.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't remember who was next with the list. Thank you. Commissioner Matusek?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ernest, I just had a couple of questions. I'm always confused about these timeline things.
So we're in 19?
Yeah, that we're in 19 and now we're actually in 22. Can you just give me a little rundown on that?
Absolutely. Usually a 3-year period with
Okay.
some options to continue. We're usually balancing 5 fiscal years in our community development department. So that's why this is a 5th amendment to the 2019. It's the end of the period. We got to clear it up. We waited as long as we could for municipal bids on public infrastructure. We did a second round to make sure that they knew about them. So this will be the closeout of 2019.
Thank God. All right, now my other question has to do not so much with this, although it's part of this. the homeless programs that we have running in the county. It has obviously been extremely cold the last little bit,
That's
and
right.
it's going to get colder.
That's right.
We used the COVID money to put people up in hotels last time to get them out of the cold. What are we doing this year?
The same, but a little bit improved.
Okay.
So we have contracted with some more motels this time to do the same thing. If you heard some of last year's issues in Roseville, we worked more closely with the police department. This year, we've increased our case management. We also have 24/7 security and 24/7 cameras on the premises. All of those things to safeguard against any problems we might encounter. So we're doing the same. There's certainly a great need, and we're looking at how we could build a congregate shelter, something that would avoid this issue. If you remember in the past, we had churches from all of your communities volunteer to host one night of a warming center. And that's how we made it work. It was a rotating warming center.
Right.
And last year and this year, the churches backed out. We went back to them and said, we will provide staffing. You don't need to be on site. You don't need to staff on site. We still couldn't get enough churches to do it that way. That's our preferred method. That's what's worked in the past. It's a good use of taxpayer funding to have voluntary space and in-kind donations. But as you said, in these extreme measures, you have a cold day out there, we have to do something. So we have done the same approach we did last year, but we've amplified it with extra case management. The thought being, they're essentially a captive audience right now. People
Right.
on hard times with a lot of barriers. Let's use this time when they're in the same place at the same location to really work with them on enrolling them in some job training and case management programs.
Okay. If people need shelter assistance, how do they access that?
So the county itself has a warming center webpage. It has the daytime shelters that municipalities offer to provide. It also has a link to McCrest that is doing the warming center.
Okay.
So all of the homeless providers know that number. Law enforcement knows that number. They know the locations. But if you want to look on the website of the county, they have the location and the phone number.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Van Sickle?
Thank you, Chair. So if I understand this right, what we're talking about is roughly $2.6 million?
Yes, for the 2019, yes.
Okay. That's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Chair Don Brown?
Thank you. Part of the problem with the communities using this money too is there's requirements on the money, where they can be spent in certain neighborhoods based on a variety of factors, income, whatever it happens to be. And senior centers are often a popular one when this first came about back 20 years ago. Now that's every community's got a senior center that's prime. It's because they've had so much money going to take care of the senior centers. Everyone's got them built out. They don't need any more senior services. They'll try to find some way to use it, but Shelby Township sees on the list they built something for seniors.
Sure.
So those are one of the areas that they went into. There was a move several years ago to get the federal government to just make these monies be block granted to the local communities, to let them use the money the way they see fit, so that it'd give better flexibility to them to use the money where they're needed.
Sure.
Fortunately, it didn't go very far. Maybe at some point we can talk to our congressional representatives. This board felt it was appropriate to advocate for that use so that the money can be spent on these, because there's hardships all over the place.
Sure.
And falling into one particular category is not the best way to do it. Who's going to decide where the supplemental money goes to? There's going to be you got that $2 million. Who's going to decide where that goes to these other organizations you mentioned? And who are they?
In general, it's a competitive application process, and HUD requires everything to be thoroughly vetted. So it's an open application. We have to have a public hearing on any amendment or application, and they're scored and they're vetted. Cost shares a consideration.
So the reallocation of the money is going to be open to what groups specifically?
So right now, this one is under the public service category. Again, that is usually capped at 15%. Due to the coronavirus pandemic, they gave us an exception that if you're a local homeless shelter who's already applied, needs additional funding, you can fund it. What we have done is utilize the existing pool of applicants. So, if the warming center said, well, I have an application here for $100,000, and we said, we don't have that much money, here's $50,000, we may return to existing applicants. If we opened up a new application phase, it would be publicized, there would be a public hearing, and we would make sure new applicants could apply.
Can you send us a list of who the the pool is, who you'll send this notice to?
Sure.
Because like so many groups, they're, for a variety of reasons, sometimes they don't see them or they miss out, and maybe a nudge from one of us could help them make an application, maybe it'll help them out.
Yeah, in an annual year, it's a couple 100,000 divided by the whole county for, Wigs for Kids is a usual nominee, right? Wigs for Kids supports children with cancer, get wigs, and they usually receive maybe $15,000. So it really is a small pie to cut a lot of ways for public service. This is really the exception. And
So you're going to vet them, they're going to make applications come in, it's going to come to who to make an evaluation to score them, and then is it arbitrary, is there any arbitrariness in that decision-making process? How does it work, and who else, where's the decision made when the money's finally cut?
I can give you a list of the applicants and the awardees for the last several years if you'd like.
I don't need that, I'm just saying, just to understand the process, so if there's somebody that we see, oh gee, this money's available to them they weren't aware of.
Sure.
We
Yeah,
wanna
I mean,
advocate.
every public service organization should apply. I mean, people might, in another county, Wigs for Kids might never apply. In Macomb County, Wigs for Kids knows that they're eligible and they apply. So there's always a disparity from county to county who's a usual applicant for these types of dollars. Because again, it's
It's
not,
a good opportunity for these groups to help give them some extra cash that maybe they need, so.
Absolutely.
Very good, thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chairwoman. Thank you, Ernest.
thank you,
Just need the list, just the groups that
Will do.
applied, that's all I need.
will do.
Thank you. And I'll share them with the board.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner Song, please.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to also point out, I believe Sterling Heights and Warren, they also receive their own CBDG grants, and they administer them themselves.
Yes,
as
that's
well.
right.
That's correct.
That's determined to be an entitlement community. So there are 5 entitlement communities in Macomb, the bigger populations. The other 21 municipalities are non-entitlement, and those are the 21 that we manage.
Okay.
So the larger communities, to Chair Brown's point, do receive their own allocations
Yes,
and are
it just
not
kind
part
of-
of this process.
Yeah, just kind of adding on to what Chair Brown was mentioning about, having the municipalities being able
That's
to
right.
administer it themselves. And is that the reason why there's no applicants from those cities
Yes.
on this list
Yes,
here?
they receive their own
Okay.
money, they administer their own program. Really, this structure is designed so that small municipalities can have coordinated regional administration. So that every small municipality, Bruce Township doesn't have to have an administrator for their own pot of money. And that's how it works
Sure.
around the country, entitlement versus non-entitlement communities.
So that brings me to my next question, is they wouldn't be eligible then if they were to apply for these type of grants?
Not under the CDBG for public facilities or municipal improvements. You technically could have an organization in Warren that serves Macomb residents broadly receive the public service dollars.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hall, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairman, I had asked for the listing of the Southeast Macomb United Way distribution for Macomb County. I just want to give you a heads up, it was 490 pages, just so you know. Ernest, I'm glad you brought up the Roseville situation.
Yeah.
I had a discussion, I believe, with Mark indicating when these shelters are being established in a local municipality, the municipality is made aware that that's taking place because there were multiple issues, as you're well aware, that took place. So we have that communication taken care of now because I've noticed Roseville's on here again.
Yes.
The phone calls I got from the chief were not nice.
No, and we were very sympathetic. We learned a lot of lessons last year.
Okay, great. I'm glad to hear that base is covered. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe we will vote now.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Ernest. Next on the agenda is Health and Services, what every veteran should know, which everyone has a copy of, and I'm sure people can find it online. I will at this point turn the meeting over to Commissioner.
Chair, could I just make a motion to receive and file?
I'm sorry.
I'll support.
Thank you very much. Will someone support that? I'm sorry, thank you.
I did.
Commissioner
Sound like Joe.
Song made the motion to receive and file, and Commissioner Hall supports it. Thank you very much. This will now go over to Internal Services we will vote. Thank you.
I think Barb's trying to get rid of this meeting.
It's at the end of the
Motion
page. I've gotta do
passes
something.
11-0.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to give it to Commissioner Van Sickle. He can take over. There you go. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chair Zinner. The next item is on the agenda 8A, agreement for Dell Azure monetary commitment for $59,846.40. And we have Jaco with us to speak on this.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Happy New Year for each and every one of you. This is just one of our maintenance agreements. In 2020, we moved some of our backups out to the cloud for a redundant resource to make sure if we have a local disaster or issues, we can still bring up important systems in the county. And that system runs on Azure, which is a cloud provider. And we pay, on an annual basis, we pay an amount that we estimate will cover our consumption for that next year. So it's kind of a consumption model. They bill us every year. And because it's so early in the process, we've budgeted at this point in time $80,000 for the year. This bill is $59,000, to be paid in April this year. So I think it expires on April 30th. So that's what this maintenance item is for.
Thank you. I need a motion to recommend a full board.
So moved by Nard.
Motion by Commissioner Nard, support by Romano. Please vote.
Chair, you have some speakers?
Excuse me. Sorry about that. Commissioner Song?
No problem. Thank you, Chair. Hi, Jaco. How much storage is this? Is it unlimited?
It is unlimited for us. It's consumption based, so
Okay.
whatever we use, we pay for. So
Okay.
it's like a credit, and then we consume against that. And then at some point in time, Microsoft, will let us know whether we are getting close to our max credits. They allow us to go over, but you still have to pay for it.
What is the maximum credit then? And have we gone over that?
No, we have not gone over that. Like I said, this started in 2020, so it's early on at this point in time, like I said, we put $80,000 in the budget. We're not sure that that's going to be enough, but at this point in time, that's the best estimate we can do. So after we have about 2 or 3 years of history, we can probably do a better assessment of, what our budget should be. But as our backups grow, obviously the consumption is going to grow on the back end.
Could you give me a rough estimate of how much we're currently using right now?
From a backup standpoint?
Yes.
I will have to get back to
Okay.
you on that, Commissioner. It's
All
a
right,
lot-
thank
it's a
you.
lot
And
of terabytes.
what their maximum is?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank
I
you,
will
Chair.
let you know.
Commissioner Brown?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jaco, the redundancy system's important, and just, you were here when that building next to us that we all look at over there burned one afternoon, and we lost a lot of our systems, and we were at risk of losing a lot of everything, and the county wanted a crash course of being redundant. This is part of that system, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, just for background for the rest of the community, to understand a little about redundancies in place, because we really needed some things really done in short order, and you and the team helped that process along, but this is part of that. Just a little background for me about the redundancies in place, because we might have lost everything.
Yeah, at that point in time when that happened, we didn't have a redundant system. It was the system that sat on the 8th floor in that building. And, thank God we were able to recover from that system. And obviously, after that, the system we implemented was a redundant system, having two data centers, one here, and if you remember correctly, at the college for a long time. We eventually pulled that back to the sheriff's office because we have a data center there. So we have two data centers where compute and storage and everything happens. And we used to have two backup devices in each location so that you have redundancy from that aspect as well. What we've done now is we've also moved a component to the cloud for our critical systems. So that gives us, even for a regional disaster, gives us a lot of redundancy and the ability to recover our main systems.
Very good. They're the spine of the county, and we had some insurance that they put in place that wasn't done previously. And that's a credit to you and your team that came in to help us with that. And it's reassuring. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. 8B, purchases for District Court Wireless Expansion Project for $109,059.53. Also, Presidio Hardware and Professional Services for $96,652.75. Trendset Communication Group, LLC, Access Points and Cabling, $12,087.78. And M&J Technologies Direct, uninterruptible power supplies for $319. Jaco?
Commissioners, I'm bringing you
Excuse me, I guess I'm forgetting today. I need a motion to recommend to full board.
So moved, Song.
Support.
Thank you. I didn't catch the name. Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Zong and supported by Commissioner Ha. Thank you, Jacob.
Commissioners, I'm bringing this to you. We're requesting really 32 access points, the licensing of it, the wireless pre and post surveys, cabling, and installation cost to expand the county network and internet access to 8 of the Macomb County District Courts. We currently have that ability in obviously Romeo and New Baltimore, but we're going to expand this, and that's what this request is for, to the 37B District Court Center Line, as well as 37A Warren, 38th East Point, 39th Roseville and Fraser, 40th District Court St. Clair Shores, 41B Clinton Township, and 41A1 Shelby, and 41A3 Sterling Heights. Access to the county network in conjunction with enhanced security and internet will allow the Macomb County Prosecuting Office attorneys to work in the district courts and be able to access applications and resources that they normally use when they're at their desk. Wireless improves the user's ability to be mobile within those locations using their laptops and smart devices.
Thank you, Commissioner Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Jaco. I have no problem with this project whatsoever. I talked to Prosecutor Lucido beforehand. It sounds like a great idea, and it sounds like they're just older buildings that need some extra TLC for technology. But my question for you is vendor disclosure forms. I don't see any. Is that something that we need to have filled out for this, or no?
Vendor disclosure forms is on file, filled out for each vendor that we do business with.
Okay, I just don't see any in our packet, so I just wanted to make sure we had those.
We didn't include it, but I can provide you the
Just
vendor disclosure.
Thank you,
form.
Jaco. Thank you, Mr.
We
Chair.
make sure that that is for every vendor registered.
Thank you, Jaco.
Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. Jaco, are there any security concerns with them being able to access remotely or?
No, I feel pretty comfortable the way we do it. we use an application or a perimeter defense called ICE, ISE, from Cisco that help us secure, external access like this coming into our county network. This is obviously sieges, data, that type of information that can traverse that network. So we make sure that it's 100% secure. The wireless access points is also secured as far as we can secure them. And then on top of that, the ICE product, we're pretty comfortable that security is taken care of.
All right, thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Brown?
Hi, Jaco. Just on the process of the Commissioner Kraft's question about the disclosure statements, do you have them and they're in the files? They should be submitted to all the agenda applications just to avoid the questions going forward. So I think that's part of the process. If we just make sure those are all attached, that would go a long way to just take care of questions before they come up, and they'll all see it. It'd help us that way. So
Absolutely. We will include them moving forward, Commissioner. No problem.
like any government, we got lots of paperwork, and it all takes time, but that's part of the process, and I think that would help us. If you don't mind doing that, I'd appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Zinner?
Thank you, Chair. I think from the tours we've had through the prosecutor's office and the explanations of how this, all the workings and the problems that they've had with the communication with some of the different districts and areas, doing this should make it a seamless piece of work, so it would be much easier for communication and for everything, for the courts, for everybody in all the areas. So I think it should work well for us, for the people especially who are in this area, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. I'd like to take items 8C and D together. I need a motion to recommend the full board add they're a capital improvement fund, rebuild conversion of chillers at Macomb County Jail.
Support Kleinfeld.
Thank you. Motion to move the full board by Commissioner Romano and supported by Commissioner Kleinfeld. Lynn?
Good afternoon. This item is for rebuilding chiller number 1 and also the replacement or conversion of the refrigerant from R11 to R123 in chiller number 1 and chiller number 2. Both of these chillers serve the jail tower. The chiller is a major component of the HVAC system. This is a water-cooled chiller, so it actually removes heat from a load and transfers it to the environment utilizing a refrigerant system. This water-cooled chiller is actually a York chiller, and Johnson Controls is the authorized service dealer for York equipment. What do we do in a rebuild? What happens is that the motor is removed, cleaned, and conditioned. They dismantle the compressor and they check for the various tolerances. They also dismantle the compressor, and they also inspect internal components of the compressor and they clean. They replace they install new seals and gaskets. They replace O-rings. They would rebuild the pressurized relief vanes shaft. They would verify new tolerances to make sure that they're within factory standards. They also reassemble the compressor. They reinstall the motor. They also do an alignment between the motor and the compressor. They also remove the oil sump and the pump, and they clean that sump out, and then they reinstall. They also pressurize the chiller with nitrogen to detect any leaks, and they will repair any leaks that are discovered. They also evacuate and dehydrate the system, and they would do the refrigerant conversion, which involves the replacement of parts and also the installation of various sensors. We are therefore requesting a budget amendment in the amount of $99,214 to transfer funds from the general fund to the capital improvement fund for the purpose of issuing a purchase order to Johnson Controls.
Commissioner Zong.
Thank you, Chair. Lynn, I just want to say thank you for including a photo of the description. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I think
it.
it helps because it's much bigger than I think people
Yes.
envision.
It does. Much appreciated. Thank you, Chair.
Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you. Item 8E and F, Budget Amendment, Capital Improvement Fund, North Rose Street Pump Station Force Main Replacement for $292,971.25. A&E together, a motion to move to full board, please.
So moved by Nard.
A motion by Commissioner Haw, supported by Commissioner Nard, to recommend the full board. Lynn?
The purchasing department solicited bids on the Minton site for the force main replacement project. 447 vendors were notified, 43 vendors viewed the documents, and 4 sealed bids were received and publicly read by the purchasing department on December 1st, 2021. The North Rose line is a pressurized force main, and it is a sanitary line, and it runs about 1,500 lineal feet. The lift station in this sanitary line moves wastewater from a lower elevation to a higher elevation. The county buildings served by this line are the Juvenile Justice Center, the Medical Examiner Facility. We also have Old Century Receiving on this line, the pole barn, the paint shop, the carpenter shop, and also the field office. The method for replacing this line is called pipe bursting. And in pipe bursting is actually a trenchless system. And it's a method of replacing buried pipe without putting in the traditional construction trench. Pipe bursting utilizes a bursting tool. It is referred to as a bursting head, and this tool is actually inserted inside the old pipe, and as it moves forward, it actually fractures the old pipe and pushes it outward. And behind the bursting tool, or the bursting head, is actually the new pipe. Then we are requesting a budget amendment in the amount of $292,971.25 to transfer from the general fund to the capital improvement fund in order to issue a purchase order to Fontana Construction, which was the low bidder. And I also have a sample. This is what the new line is made of. So it's going to last a very long time.
Looks like an air filter.
Lynn, the bursting head will pull that new pipe for 1,000 feet up?
Yeah, they will create an opening, and I think they can go about 400 feet.
So they're going
Us.
to do it in a couple different
Yeah.
pieces?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 11-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to item 9, public participation. This is an opportunity for public participation for those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any issue. Scanning the public and seeing no one. We'll move on to item 10, commissioners' comments. Commissioner Nard.
Happy New Year, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for their support in the loss of my mom. It was a very peaceful transition, But it was very difficult for my family, even though she was 96 years old. So I'm just asking for all of your prayers and your good wishes for the new year. I'm working through a lot of things, and I just thank you all for your support. It's been tremendous for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. You know, we have only 2 of our staff here today because they've been out sick. We appreciate all the understanding with our staff being stressed they are dealing with the COVID protocols, but we're very sensitive to that here, and the staff has been outstanding. Thank our 2 staff members, Mary and Adriana, today for taking care of all of us today. We have many staff working remotely as well, though. They're on the job and they're paying attention, and everyone's been working together to support everyone here to get things done that we need done around here. So they just, the office also came in Friday, had them come in Friday and deep clean and disinfect the whole office ahead of our meetings today, before this week started. So we're continuing that process and working forward. And the reason we schedule those meetings, collapse the meetings together, is to keep, again, have you come down here as less frequently as possible and make our time more efficient as well. So we're glad of that. So be advised, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. We had drain board yesterday morning, and half of Candace's staff was out with COVID. And I know that Lansing says that we can't meet virtually, but we risk having more than a quorum, and so does every other county and every other township and city, having more than a quorum of people sick and unable to meet when there's timelines. So I don't know if you guys want to consider maybe doing some sort of resolution asking the state to consider it. I believe we should meet in person as often as possible, but I think that for the state to dictate to us rather than let us determine if we need to meet through Zoom it bothers me, because I think most of us will be here if we want to, if we think we should be here. We're not trying to get away with anything. So it's just something I'd like you guys to consider. Maybe if enough cities and townships and counties send notice, they'll take notice. I know there's a huge fight over it in Lansing. Thank you.
Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. I was just sitting here today looking at the recommendation sheet. A lot of our questions sometimes is that we don't get the vendor disclosure forms and a lot of the necessary information. And I'm thinking maybe that's something that probably should be revised. I don't remember the last time we revised that recommendation form. I know that's our form, but that might be something that we can improve our process to make sure everything's in that file. And I can work with the chair on that. So thank you.
Good suggestion. Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, Commissioner Brown.
On Commissioner Kleinfeld's spot, had the same issue, thought the same thing, and I've talked to my senator about that, trying to see he's going to talk to people up in Lansing today to see if there's anything moving about that. Your friends in MAC, our friends in MAC also probably should address that, but we need to have the flexibility to do that. I think it's an issue. I'm not sure how far important they think it is, but that's someone we should go through. Regarding the disclosures, if you notice, Lynn Arnott from F&O, she had a properly supplied form. Everything was there exactly as it should have been, and it always has been with her. She's been on this county a long time. She understands what the board requires and has not to be told 5 times to do the right thing. So I'm glad that she gets it, and there's a variety of reasons why we don't get information sometimes, and we can understand that, but we have to be more disciplined and require that they get the things so we don't have the misunderstandings that sometimes come with not having the proper process followed. We have to enforce the process going forward in this coming year, and we're going to work with the exec's office to make sure we understand each other a little bit better and make sure that process goes on forward. Also including the purchasing ordinance and other things that we're going to do to make sure that some of the bumps we've run into previously don't happen again, or at least mitigate their risk. So those are our priorities in the coming year, but wanted to let you know that. But But I wanted to point out that Lynn had all the documents there, and it was good that she did. So, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Sabatini, are you up again? No? Commissioner Zong?
Thank you, Chair. I would support a resolution, Commissioner Kleinfeld, because I think it's important. Worst case scenario, we don't have a quorum, and then there might be items that are time sensitive, and we can't always push back our meetings for everyone to quarantine and come back. So I would fully support that. Regarding the recommendation form, is there a possibility that staff could review what's submitted? Because they do add the items to the agenda. So if that's something that's missing, then maybe they can reach out to the particular department and just make sure that it's there. I think that might be another solution too.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll take over that.
Thank you, Chair.
Last chance?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano and Zinner.
Hey, Joe?
Andres clone.
Vote, please.
Something never changed.
Great meeting, guys. Both of you.
Thank you all for coming down.
Motion
Appreciate you.
passes 11 to 0.